Hey there, Prairie Plant Girl here. Today I'm in my front yard again, and I'm going to be trying to dig up some of the creeping thyme that's in my walkway, that's spilt over my walkway here. And I'm going to be digging it up and trying to get it transplanted into around my fire pit area in my backyard. If you recall, last year I grew some creeping thyme from seed and planted some plugs out here because I would like to get this whole walkway filled with creeping thyme. And I don't know how well it shows up on the camera, but those little plugs are doing really well. And I have a few more going in my greenhouse right now to put in this year. But I want to take the overgrowth that's going over the rocks on the side here, and I want to pull this up and clean the edges up a little bit, and I think it'd be really nice in my fire pit area. Now, I've tried in the past to take these overgrowth parts and transplant them out here in the front, and it just doesn't work well. And I think it's because the roots are so shallow on these, and it gets really, really hot here in the afternoon because this is south facing. So it just doesn't work well on the rock. There's just not enough soil attached to the roots. Roots aren't deep enough to do well out here for transplanting. But in the back where I'm going to put them, they'll get morning sun, and then they'll have a little bit more shade in the afternoon, and I'm hoping they'll do better out there to get them rooted in. And then I'll bring the plugs that I started to continue filling in the rest of the pathway that way, because the plugs are deeper, they'll go down more, they have more soil around the roots, so they stay damp longer throughout the day. So, long-winded explanation of what I'm doing today, but I just want to, in case some of you are wondering, well, why don't you just move it around here? That's why I'm taking this to the back and just putting plugs in the front. So here you can see a few of the plugs. There's another one up there, there's one there. And I think they've all taken really well. I don't know how well you can see all those little colored spots in the gravel there. There's quite a few. They've done really well compared to, I'll show you, if you go here, this is where I dug some up off the edges and transplanted it in. And you can see there's one little patch coming back in here, but not much. There's some weeds right here. I need to get out and weed the front yard still. But it just looks really ugly, really. It doesn't look nice. There's another tiny little bit coming in. Tree seedling. And here's another patch that I transplanted. This one took a little bit better, but still not great. And it doesn't look very attractive out here. So we'll try and just use the plugs. They look nice, they're spreading out and doing really well out here. So I'm really happy with how that went. So we'll just stick with the plugs out front and try my hand at getting these kind of patches put in the back where it's not as hot during the afternoon. But you can see in here, like I have big stepping stones, big flat stones in here that I brought in from the farm, and they're completely buried, well, for the most part. And then it really goes over into the smaller rocks on the side there. So I'd like to get that cleaned up a little bit today. So I'm just going to start over here. This is you're sitting on the sidewalk to my street right now, and it shouldn't take very much. It doesn't take much. I should have maybe brought a kneeling pad out, but it's okay, my jeans can get dirty. And then usually I can just kind of get a chunk of it and pull it up a little bit around the rocks. And if I need to dig to get some roots, a little bit more roots with it, I can do that. Just kind of work it out of its spot here. And then I did bring some snips if I need to cut it. Sometimes it's pretty tough through the roots. Usually I can just rip it off or cut it with the trowel, but if I need to, I'll have these to cut it off with. And then I'm just gonna grab the chunks I get, throw them in my bucket. I'll just pile them on top of each other, it won't hurt them, and then we'll take them to the backyard. So there's a pretty good sized clump there. And there's some roots on the bottom of it. So throw it in the bucket and keep working our way along here. There's a real You see that big rock is completely covered. Completely covered. Growing right through the cracks in it. Those of you that ask if I have worms in my yard, yes I do. Okay, so hopefully you can see here I have a whole big row that's flipped over, turned over. It's a little bit hard to tell. It's still early spring, so the new growth isn't super bright. But I've got this whole row, so I'm just gonna cut it off at the edge here and pop it in my bucket. Some of them had some really nice deep roots, so these should take well. It's a big chunk. There, and that edge looks a lot cleaner now. Go over to the other side, see if we can get it cleaned up. So see how it's come way out here. And this is actually the line of division in here, so try and get these pulled up. So there's the edge coming off my sidewalk. It's a lot cleaner and crisper now. Going up. So now let's work on this edge over here. So this is one of the ones I showed you where it's really going over the rocks there. So we can probably get some good pieces off of that. So let's see what we can get done. Oh, I can smell the thyme. It smells so nice. Oh, just from digging it up here and tromping around on it. So I do want to cut out, clean up these bits here where I have these big stones, these old field stones. Dad found some for me and brought them, and I found some. I think my mom found a few. And they're really nice, so it'd be nice to be able to see them. And that stuff gets more winter dieback, I think, because it's on the stones, it's not rooted in. So I'll throw it in my bucket, but it's probably not gonna really do much. There's a bunch of seeds here, so I'm just gonna take them and throw them behind me into the pathway, and maybe they'll take. See that nice big stone again. Let's try a few more. Should be another one right here. There's one right here. Nope, it's very dead there. Take some of those seeds. Giving it a haircut. I don't know how you can see, but these stones show up a lot better now. I have more at another entrance. I might have had some back there that I've forgotten about. I should look. But I'm just going to keep going through, cleaning up the edges, finding these stones and getting them unearthed, and then I'll give you an overview at the end when I'm all done. Okay, so I got this huge bucket filled with the pieces that I pulled off the edges and off of the big stones. I think it's looking a lot better out here, so I'll move this out of the way. We'll just take kind of a little stroll through the walkway so you can see, hopefully you can see the changes like I can. And then this is going to go to the backyard to get put around my fire pit area. So hopefully you can see the larger stones that are lining the walkway now, which you couldn't see before. And the big flagstones down in there. They're kind of covered with seeds and dirt, but it's supposed to be rainy for the next few days, so that should clear them off. And then the thyme was creeping all the way over to the spirea. Those are blue kazoo spirea on either side of the walkway there. The thyme was going right over to it. So we got that cleared up. And then I gathered up some of the seeds that were on those rocks and just kind of threw them out here. So that's why there's kind of some dirt along here. So it's the seeds. I thought, well, maybe with this rain they'll work their way down and sprout for me. And then there's a little Y that goes off this way towards the garage. And again, you can see the clear lines of the larger stones lining the path and the big flagstone going up there, which that was all buried. So it's nice to have that out again. Back down this way, out towards the street. And again, you can see the edges defined again. I tried to find the flagstones in here. I'm sure there's a couple, but all you can find is one small stone there. So I'm not sure, but we'll see. This part always dies off more from all the shoveling of the snow and that happens. Probably some salt and sand that gets piled on it over the winter. Overall, I think it looks a lot better. And as these little plugs fill in back here, hopefully this whole thing will just be like a carpet of thyme, and it smells so good when you walk on it. It feels so good under your feet. And now I'm hoping to accomplish the same thing at the fire pit area. So this is the area. You buster. This is the area I want to put that thyme and on the ground here and try and get it transplanted and growing in. So I used to have some, I think they're 30 by 30 centimeter, 12 by 12 inch patio pavers in here, but they weren't lined up side by side. They were just kind of skipping every other one. And so it made it hard to keep the furniture settled in here. So I took the pavers up last year and just raked out all the gravel, and I thought it would be really nice if I could just walk out here in my bare feet, because I really am often in my bare feet, and be able to walk out here, and that thyme would be perfect, and it would soften this area. It would smell really nice. I think it'd just be a really nice covering instead of just gravel here, and it might grow over this hose that just refuses to stay buried in the gravel. That hose goes to the propane because this fire pit is a propane fire pit. So my hope is that I can get a lot of that thyme laid down in here, and it's supposed to be rainy and overcast for the next 3 or 4 days, so that should help it to have a chance to get settled in before it gets too hot and dries up. So that should be to my advantage if I can get it laid in here. And the gravel isn't very thick in this area, so it should be able to get down to the soil. I should be able to scoot it to the side a little bit and get the thyme down to the soil level quite easily. So that is my plan. I might even just scoop the gravel out of the way completely in each area that I lay it, and eventually just have no gravel here. We'll see. I guess I should have thought that through a little bit, but I'm gonna get started on that and I'll show you what I'm doing. There's really not much to it. I'm just basically gonna be laying it down on the ground. So let's get started before it rains. Hey Wes, should we get to work? I moved the furniture, but it looks like there was leaves piled up under some of the chairs, so I'm just gonna try and get them gathered up for the compost before they blow away. That's better. Here's my big bucket. So I think I'll just start down kind of around the fire pit and work my way out, because that's really where your feet are going to be touching. It doesn't get that hot down on the ground, so I don't think it'll hurt the thyme. Oh, I'm not doing a perfect job. Probably be good if you came in and leveled this all out nice, but I'm not really that concerned about it. So I'm just going to take these and try and get them laid down so the root side is down, growing side is up. I'm just going to keep pulling this rock back and taking chunks of the thyme that I dug up and just setting it down so it gets contact with the ground there. Couple of really low spots I'm going to fill in here. So anything that looks like just pretty much dead, I'm just putting to the side. Try and get mostly this green, lush looking stuff here. I'm just trying to kind of give it a little wiggle to get it contacted with the soil. That's a nice big piece. So right now, it doesn't really look like much, but in my imagination, there is a large carpet of thyme that's going to spread out through this space. And every year, if this works, then I can go and pull a bit more from out front and continue moving rock back and spreading the thyme out. And I did spread a lot of seed out in some of these areas, shook it off. So if that's good viable seed, we should have some little plants coming up from that. And I tried to leave a bit of a buffer zone, so it hopefully takes a little while to get over to the grass, so I'm not fighting that immediately, but I think it'll look nice in the end, and it'll sure feel nice under the feet to be sitting there on the thyme. I'll just move the furniture back away from that area for right now, just back against the, I'll put some back there and then some over here so it's not covering up the thyme, and let the rain fall on it and work it in there. And like I said, after 3 or 4 days of rain that we're supposed to have here off and on, and some warm temperatures, hopefully that takes. Well, I'm gonna have to have faith that these plants will take and spread themselves around like I am sure they will. Might look a little messy for a little while, but you know, sometimes you need to make a bit of a mess to get to the beautiful part in the end, and I think that's going to be how this project is. So a little bit of a different project today, but it was what I was doing in my yard, and I thought some of you might find it interesting. So thanks for coming along with me, and I'll keep you updated as to how this is working out for me, as well as, you know, how the the pathway in the front is going. Those little starts that I have in the greenhouse, I started a little bit different this year. Last year I had them on a heat mat out in the greenhouse, and this year I just let them do their own thing. So they're a lot smaller and further behind than they were last year at this point, but they are coming, so I'll be able to get those planted out there soon. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having this space. I think it'll be really nice. Oh, it looks like the clouds are breaking up a bit, and I'm hoping maybe I can get this grass cut between rains here and get a few things done out in the yard. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.